Next, let's learn motif 2. It's a row like this. The first motif 2 at the very bottom is a complete motif. All other motif 2s need to be worked and joined along the side in the last 2 rounds. First, work the first motif 2. Use the magic ring method. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. You'll need to switch colors during the process. The new stitch technique used is half double crochet front post. Watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Rounds 1 to 8 and casting on. The crocheting method matches motif 1 for corresponding rounds. The swatch has already been completed. Now work round 9. On the right side of the yarn tail, join yarn in the chain space at the corner middle. Make 3 beginning chains. Work 1 double crochet in the same space. Front post double crochet on the left side puff stitch. Double crochet in the chain space. Front post double crochet on the next puff stitch. Half double crochet 4 times in the left chain space. Then work half double crochet front post stitch on the front post double crochet. Yarn over. Insert from right to left through the front loops. Work 1 half double crochet. Complete the half double crochet front post stitch. Half double crochet 2 times in the left chain space. Then pull up the 4 picots from round 6 underneath, through the 2 chain spaces underneath to the front. Pick up the approximate position of 2 strands underneath the 4 picots. Work 1 half double crochet. Work 2 more half double crochets in the same space behind. Half double crochet front post stitch on the left front post double crochet. Yarn over. Insert through the front loops. Work half double crochet. Complete the half double crochet front post stitch. Continue to work symmetrical stitches to the right side following the chart. After completing the 2 double crochets in the middle space of the corner, consider the crocheted stitches as one side of this round. Continue with 2 chain stitches as the corner. Repeat this side and corner technique afterward. Complete this round. After finishing the last corner, join with a slip stitch, and fasten off the yarn on the beginning chain. The 9th round is complete. Now work the 10th round. On the right side of the yarn tail from the previous round on this side, the second to last double crochet. Pick up 2 strands on the wrong side above and join yarn. Work 3 half double crochets into the corner space. 2 chain stitches, and 3 half double crochets. Consider the crocheted stitches in the space as the corner of this round. Move on to crocheting the edging. Skip the first stitch of the previous round side. Pick up 2 strands on the wrong side, above, and correspondingly make a slip stitch. Note that the middle half double crochet can be skipped. That is, pick the stitch from the front round. Leave the last stitch of the edging unworked. The edge position is now complete. Continue with the same corner and edge technique afterward. Complete this round. Make the last slip stitch at the joining position. Cut the yarn. Round 10 is completed. Finally crochet the 11th round. The technique is similar to the last round of motif 1. Divide into 4 sides. Pick the stitches from the 9th round. Start with the first side. On the left side of the yarn tail from the previous round, this side of the 9th round. Join yarn at the first stitch. This position is exactly the beginning chain spot. Chain 6. Skip 4 slip stitches. Chain 5. Skip 4 slip stitches. Continue with chain 5. Skip 3 slip stitches. Chain 5. Skip 4 slip stitches. Repeat once more. Cut the yarn. Weave in the yarn tails. First side completed. Form 5 chain spaces. Work the remaining sides in the same way. Crochet on the edge of round 9. Complete it. Look. This is the sample after completing round 11. Weave in all yarn tails on the wrong side. Measure the dimensions. If it differs significantly from the chart, adjust your tension and crochet again to avoid affecting the joining appearance. The first motif 2 is now explained. Next, learn the remaining motifs 2. The second motif 2. Rounds 1-9 crochet method, same as first motif 2 rounds 1-9. Last 2 rounds need to work and join simultaneously. Joining method here similar to motif 1. Second to last round at corner position. Match 2 adjacent corners. Replace middle chain stitch with slip stitch. Join with corresponding corner chain space of first motif 2. Final round on middle edge of connected corners. Replace first chain space on edge. Change fourth chain stitch to slip stitch. Join with corresponding chain space. For remaining 4 chain spaces, replace middle chain stitch with slip stitch to join. Total 5 joins made. Other 3 sides work normally. Refer to the chart. Follow previous demonstration to complete it. Connect remaining motif 2 pieces in the same way. Pay attention to connection points being in straight line, forming this kind of strip. Refer to the chart to complete it. That completes motif 2 explanation. Next, learn cluster piece. They are identical 2 strips. Single cluster piece consists of motif 3 and edging 2 parts. Here bottom motif 3 is complete motif. Connect remaining motifs in order from bottom to top while crocheting. You can adjust connection sequence as needed. First, learn motif 3 number 1. Using magic ring method. Crocheting in rounds counterclockwise. Need to switch colors during process. New stitch technique used is HDC2 puff. Watch my demonstration of crocheting method. Start with magic ring. Then crocheting in rounds counterclockwise. Start by slightly stretching the loop, about 1 centimeter in size. Then chain 1. Next, work 1/2 double crochet in the ring. Remember to pull the yarn through to enlarge the loop. Match the height on the right side. After completing, chain 4. Now work 1 HDC2 puff stitch. First, create 2 incomplete half double crochets. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. Enlarge the loop. First stitch completed. Continue to the second stitch. Yarn over. You can press the yarn with your finger. Draw the yarn through. Enlarge the loop. Second stitch completed. Yarn over and draw through in once. The HDC2 puff stitch is completed. Continue with 4 chain stitches. Then crochet 1 HDC2 puff stitch. First, make 2 incomplete half double crochets. Yarn over and draw through in once. The HDC2 puff stitch is completed. Continue with 4 chain stitches. Next, work the HDC2 puff stitch in the starting chain space. Crochet the HDC2 puff stitch with 4 chain stitches as transition between each. After completing the last HDC2 puff stitch, check the stitch count. Excluding the starting half double crochet, total of 11 HDC2 puff stitches. Crochet 2 chain stitches. Close the magic ring loop. Make it slightly loose here to keep the fabric flat. Finally, on the beginning half double crochet stitch, make a half double crochet to join. Round 1 is completed. Move on to round 2. First, work a single crochet in the bottom space. Then crochet 10 chains. Single crochet in the left chain space. Switch colors. First, make an incomplete single crochet, insert. Draw the yarn through. The incomplete single crochet is done. Then take the new yarn. Pull through the loop. Adjust. The single crochet is completed, and the color change is done. The stitch of the single crochet remains the original yarn color. We consider the stitches crocheted after the beginning chain as the big corner of this round. Then use the new yarn to make 4 double crochets in the left chain space. Pay attention to tidy up the yarn tail behind together. Then make 2 chain stitches, 4 double crochets, and switch colors on the last stitch. At the last double crochet position, first make an incomplete double crochet. Then put down the new yarn. Pull the original yarn. To prevent the yarn from curling inside, tidy up the fabric, keep it flat. Draw the yarn through. Adjust it. This completes the double crochet and the color change. We'll treat the crocheted stitches with the new yarn as the small corner of this round. Continue with the original yarn to make 1 large corner, and switch colors at the last single crochet position. As you crochet, bring along the new yarn. When changing colors, first make an incomplete single crochet, insert the hook, draw the yarn through. Then secure the new yarn. Press down the 2 yarns behind here. Adjust it. The large corner is completed and color change is done. Continue with the new yarn to make one small corner, and switch colors. Pay attention to carrying the yarn. Check after completion. This round alternates between large and small corners. And switch colors at the last stitch of each corner. Carry the other yarn while crocheting. Repeat this process to complete the round. Join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet and cut the yarn. Leave about 1 cm yarn tail and cut off. All unfinished yarn tails should be secured on the wrong side. We'll use the clearer texture side as the right side. You can measure the motif's dimensions, put together with the chart specified measurements. If there's a significant difference, adjust your tension and recrochet to avoid affecting the finished product. The first motif 3 is completed. Continue with the second motif 3. The first round crochet method is the same as before. When crocheting the second round, connect one small corner with the small corner of the first motif 3. Which corner to connect can be determined according to preference. The swatch connects at the second small corner here. The second large corner is completed. Then use new yarn to make 4 double crochets. One chain stitch. Take the first motif 3 with their wrong sides facing each other. Pick up any small corner space and slip stitch. Then make 4 double crochets. And switch colors. The small corner is finished and connected. This is the joining method for motif 3. Continue to complete this round. Cut the yarn. Weave in the yarn tails. Everyone complete it. So the second motif 3 is crocheted and connected. For the next third motif 3, add any small corner position with the second motif 3. Already connected corner position. Join at the opposite small corner hole. Make sure the right side is facing up. After connecting, it forms a strip like this. For the following motifs 3, follow the method for the third motif 3. Slip stitch into the corresponding small corner hole. Refer to the previous demonstration. Refer to the chart to complete it. That concludes the explanation for motif 3. Next, learn how to crochet the edging. On the edge of the connected motif 3, first crochet in rounds, then crochet from right to left respectively. The new stitch technique used is double crochet decrease and chain 3 picket. Watch my demonstration of the specific crocheting method. First work round 1. Here I demonstrate with a swatch, fewer motifs, mainly demonstrating the method. With motif 3 right side facing up, find the rightmost motif. Join yarn in the large corner hole at the upper right. Work 1 single crochet. 5 chains. Slip stitch in the small corner hole on the left. 5 chains. Work 1 single crochet in the large corner hole on the left. 5 chains. Consider the crocheted stitches as one group. For the following motifs 3 at these 3 corners. Crochet using this group's method. Pay attention not to twist the fabric piece. Keep the right side facing up. After completing the single crochet in the top left hole of the last motif, work 10 chains. Slip stitch in the small corner hole on the left. Continue with 10 chains. When reaching this side of the motif, crochet using the previous group's method. After completing the leftmost edge motif, single crochet in the top left corner hole. Continue with 10 chains. Slip stitch in the small corner hole on the left. 10 chains. Slip stitch in the starting single crochet and cut the yarn. The first round is completed. Continue to the second row, on the right side of the previous round. Join the yarn in the chain space on the right side of the yarn tail. Work 3 single crochets. Then pick up 5 chain spaces. Work 5 single crochets respectively. Start by shifting slightly to the left here. After completing, work 3 single crochets in the last 10 chain spaces. Work 3 single crochets. Cut the yarn. The second row is completed. Move on to the third row. Join the yarn in the starting stitch of the previous row. Chain 2. Skip 1 stitch on the left side, and work 1 double crochet. One chain 3 picket. Shortened as 3 chain picket, later. First work 3 chain stitches. Slip the front loop of the next stitch. And 1 thread on the left side. Work 1 slip stitch. Gently tighten. 3 chain picket completed. Continue with 3 chain stitches. Work 1 single crochet at the same insertion position on the left side. Then work 1 single crochet on the left stitch. Chain 3. Double crochet decrease. First work an incomplete double crochet at the current insertion position, and on the 4th stitch to the left, work incomplete double crochets on both. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. That completes the double crochet decrease. Continue with 3 picots. First chain 3. Slip the front loop of the next stitch. And pick up 2 strands to the left like this. Work 1 slip stitch. That completes the 3 picots. Continue with 3 chain stitches. Work 1 single crochet at the same insertion position on the left side. We'll work these stitches on the 5 single crochets in the chain space that we crocheted. Consider it as a group. Repeat this group's technique later. Crochet until 3 stitches remain at the end. Reach the corresponding position. Work 1 single crochet on the left stitch. Chain 3. Work a double crochet decrease at the same position and the last stitch. Then work another 3 picots. Cut the yarn. Row 3 completed. Rows 4 to 5 later. On the other side of the first round. Crochet from right to left. Technique same as rows 2 to 3. Everyone refer to the previous demonstration. Refer to the chart to complete it. This completes the edging explanation. 1 cluster piece explained. Another cluster piece. Crochet in the same way. Everyone complete it. This completes the cluster piece explanation. Finally join all motif columns together. Refer to the structure diagram. Position motif column 1. 2 cluster pieces. And motif column 2 correctly. At the connecting positions. Join with slip stitches respectively. With 2 chain transitions between them. For specific slip stitch positions, refer to the chart, or adjust according to actual situation. Ensure even and flat joining at fabric connections. As long as the overall appearance looks good. Here I'll demonstrate using the left motif column 1. Joining with cluster pieces as example. Let me demonstrate the joining method. I'm using a swatch for demonstration. With fewer motifs for simplicity, mainly demonstrating the method. Pay attention to your actual project as reference. The swatch cluster pieces only have partial edging completed. You need to finish crocheting them completely in practice. Right side of the fabric facing up. This left column follows the chart, starting joining from the top. First on the left cluster piece. Join yarn in the third picket space on the rightmost side. Chain 1. Slip stitch into the corner space of motif 1 on the right piece. Note for better appearance. All joining slip stitches should be worked from the right side. Pay attention to yarn position. You may also insert hook according to your personal preference. Chain 2. Slip stitch into 3 adjacent picket spaces of the cluster piece. Chain 2. On the motif at the left side of corner space. Slip stitch into the second half double crochet stitch. Chain 2. Continue slip stitching into 3 picket spaces. Chain 2. On motif 1. Slip stitch into the chain space along the edge. Chain 2. Insert hook downward into 3 picots. And slip stitch into edge chain space. Chain 2 as transition between them. Completed joining motif 1 edge position. At the corresponding position, chain 2. Slip stitch into 3 picket spaces on the left side. Chain 2. Next encounter the corner position, where motif 1 is joined. On the joining slip stitch. Pick up 2 strands and slip stitch. When encountering corner connections afterward, pick up strands and slip stitch using this method. Continue joining downward by referring to the chart. After completing the last 3 picket spaces, slip stitch directly into the corner space. Cut the yarn. This completes 1 column of motif 1 and 1 cluster piece. This creates the sloping shoulder here. The joining method for other pieces is similar. Pay attention to joining the yarn by referring to the chart. The stitch techniques and insertion points at the beginning and ending positions need to follow the chart. Sloping shoulders should all be placed on top. Don't make mistakes. In the middle position, pick up chain spaces along the edge of motif 1. Join at the corner position. On the cluster piece, slip stitch into approximately 3 picket spaces. Pay attention to joining before and after the corner position on motif 2. Slip stitch into chain spaces on both sides of the 3 picket spaces on the cluster piece. Ensure even alignment of the pieces. Refer to the chart to complete joining all pieces. This concludes the joining instructions. The back body is now explained. Next, learn the left front and right front. Here, left and right refer to the wearer's perspective. The front pieces. Each consists of 4 connected motifs. 1. I'll demonstrate using the left front as an example. The bottom motif 1 is worked normally. The top 2 motifs are worked and joined simultaneously in the last 2 rounds. The method is the same as joining motifs 1 for the back body. Pay attention to joining this side of the top motif 1 to the one below, while joining the 2 corners. You also need to join this top side and 2 corners to the corresponding column of motifs 1 on the back body, joining this side and both corners of the top motif. Using the same joining method. Note that at this corner position, the slip stitch join has already been made once here. Simply insert the hook into the same chain space and slip stitch. Once motif 1 is completed, the front and back bodies form a long strip of 8 motifs. The right front body uses the same method. When joining the top motif, pay attention to join it with the right side motif 1 of the back body. At the joined corner position, simply insert into the chain space to connect. The method is quite simple. Refer to the chart to complete it. That concludes the explanation for both left and right front bodies. Next we'll learn about the sleeves, divided into the sleeve body, the cuff edge and the joining parts. First work the sleeve body, which consists of 6 motif 1s joined together. Here follow the order from top to bottom, and left to right, to join in rounds. The first motif 1 is a complete motif 1. The second motif 1 is worked and joined to its right side, using the same joining method as the back body motif 1s. The third motif 1 is joined to the right side of the second motif 1. Pay attention to the opposite side corner. It also needs to be joined with the left side corner of the first motif 1 to form a complete circle. Refer to the chart and finish it accordingly. Next, the fourth motif 1 is joined at the bottom corner of the first motif 1. while also connecting the sleeve position formed by the front and back bodies. Watch my demonstration for the specific joining method. Here I'll demonstrate using a swatch. The fourth motif 1 is first joined at the first corner position. First work 4 half double crochets. One chain stitch. Find the first and second motif bottom corner connection point. Here I'll demonstrate using a swatch. Some positions are omitted. Please follow your actual project. This connection has already been made once. Pick up the joining slip stitch. So there are 2 strands of yarn. Insert hook and slip stitch. Continue to complete this corner. Work the edges normally. When reaching the corner position on this side, similarly pick up the corner connection slip stitch to join. After completion, continue working the edge normally. Next corner position needs to connect to the front and back body's armhole. Here I'll use the left sleeve as an example. Two motifs on the left side of the swatch. Is the top 2 motifs of the first column on the left side of the back body? 2 motifs on the right side. Are the top 2 motifs of the left front body? Everyone find the third motif in the first column, on the left side of the back body. Slip stitch into the middle chain space on the edge. This corner position is now connected. Work the edging normally. Next corner. On the left side motif. Connect at the middle chain space on the edge. After completing, work the last edge. Finally, cut the yarn. This completes the second to last round of the fourth motif 1 and joins it. Continue with the final round. Work the two sides normally at this position. The top edge connects to motif 1. Everyone complete this. The bottom edge needs to join with these two motifs 1 on the back body. Here I demonstrate the technique. Begin by attaching the yarn normally. Follow the previous method. Join at these 3 chain spaces. The fourth chain space connects to the corner of these two motifs 1. Use a joining slip stitch for this connection. Continue joining at the chain spaces. Cut the yarn. The back edge connects to the motifs on the front and back bodies. Follow this method for all connections. At these chain spaces, connect to the corner. Look here, this is what the fourth motif 1 looks like after completion. The fifth motif 1 at the back. Connect to the second on the last 2 rounds, corresponding to the edge corner of the fourth motif 1. And the edge corner positions of these two motifs 1 on the front and back bodies below. Pay attention when connecting at the top left corner. Insert into the same insertion point as the previous connection. And slip stitch to achieve this effect. For the specific insertion point, you can also adjust according to your own habit. Just ensure the connection is flat and neat. When connecting this corner at the bottom left, pick up the 2 strands of the previously connected slip stitch. Do not connect this edge on the right side. Refer to the chart to complete it. The joining method for the last motif 1 on the last 2 rounds is slightly different. On the second to last round, start connecting from the top right corner. The corners of the third and fifth motifs correspond. Connect the last corner to motif 1 on the front body. Chain space in the middle of the edge. On the final round, each edge needs to be connected to the corresponding position. When connecting the rightmost edge, pay attention. Do not connect the first chain space. Connect the remaining chain spaces normally to motif 1 of the fourth, corresponding chain spaces. After completion, an opening will form at the underarm position. Remember not to connect incorrectly. The joining method for the other sleeve is the same. Pay attention when connecting to the front and back bodies. Find the correct motif 1, where the front and back bodies connect. These 4 motif 1s in the middle. Refer to the chart for connecting. Complete this part. That concludes the explanation of the sleeve body. Next, learn about the cuffs. Divided into motif 3 and edging 2 parts. Here there are multiple motif 3s. First crochet the first complete motif 3. Work and join the remaining motif 3s simultaneously. The method is the same as the joining method for motif 3 in the back body fabric piece. Only the last motif 3 also needs to connect to the small corner space of the first motif 3 on the left side to form a circular ring. Refer to the chart to complete this. That concludes the explanation of motif 3. Next, learn about the edging. On both top and bottom edges of the connected motif 3s. Crocheting in rounds counterclockwise. Watch my demonstration of the specific crochet method. First work the top edging round 1. Here I'll demonstrate using a swatch. The quantity of motifs is random. Find any motif 3 right side, unjoined corner position. Join yarn in the upper right chain space. Then follow the back body fabric piece. Crochet the edging at the side position. Finish with a slip stitch on the starting stitch. The first round is complete. Move on to round 2. Work a slip stitch transition in the left chain space. Do not tighten. Then work 5 single crochets into every chain space. Complete this round. Finish with a slip stitch. The second round is complete. Finally crochet the third round. Work 1 single crochet in the slip stitch join spot from the previous round. Continue to complete this pattern. Repeat. The crochet method is identical to the third round of edging for the motif. Continue on each group of single crochets. Correspondingly make this pattern repeat. Complete this round. Finish with a slip stitch and break the yarn. Weave in the yarn tails. The top edging is done. Crochet the bottom edging around the other side of the motif. The method is the same as the top edging. Everyone can complete it accordingly. This concludes the explanation for the cuff edge. Finally, connect the unclosed side of the sleeve body to the cuff edge. Start crocheting any pattern repeat on the cuff edge side. Join the yarn in the left chain space. Then follow the pattern chart to crochet chains and slip stitches. The joining method is similar to back body motif 1 and the joining method for the cluster. Pay attention to the insertion point for the slip stitches per the chart. Edging section position. Crochet in the chain spaces on both sides of the pattern. Others crochet in the 3 picket chain spaces. Finally, slip stitch and cut the yarn at the starting joining position. Refer to the previous demonstration. Complete the joining. This concludes the explanation for the sleeves. Next, learn about the underarm. Both left and right underarms are divided into cluster and joining 2 parts. Pay attention to the cluster crochet technique here, similar to the back body cluster. Only the quantity of motif 3 is different. Be mindful not to crochet incorrectly when working. After completing, join at both sides and top of the cluster piece to the corresponding positions of front and back bodies and sleeves. Watch my demonstration of the specific joining method. Here I demonstrate using a swatch with fewer motifs, mainly demonstrating the method. First, join the right side position of the cluster piece. After joining the yarn, refer to the chart at the third to last picket position of the edging on the cluster piece. The swatch has already been joined in advance. Chain 2. At the right corner of the sleeve body. Slip stitch at the slip stitch position. Which is the chain space in the middle of this motif edge. Continue with chain 2. Slip stitch on the left side 3 picots. Chain 2. At the previous joining position. Slip stitch on the left side joining slip stitch. Finally, slip stitch at the ending 3 picots position. Next, chain 3 as a bridge. Slip stitch on the left edging single crochet side. Chain 3. At the right side motif edge of the sleeve body, slip stitch in the last skipped chain space. Chain 3. Slip stitch in the left edging chain space. Chain 3. At the right side motif. Slip stitch in the left joining chain space, which is the already joined position. Chain 3. Slip stitch on the first round of the left edging. Pick up 2 strands for slip stitch. Chain 3. Slip stitch in the second chain space of the left motif edge. Chain 3. Slip stitch in the edging chain space. Chain 3. Slip stitch in the remaining chain spaces of the motif edge. Chain 3. Slip stitch on the left single crochet side. Chain 3. Slip stitch in this 3 chain picket space. Then at the sleeve corner position, where it's joined, insert hook and slip stitch once. This part of the fabric piece above is now joined together. Continue joining the sides. The method is similar to the beginning. Note that all chains are 2 stitches. Cut the yarn once completed. Refer to the chart to finish it. This completes the underarm joining explanation. Join the other underarm side using the same method. Complete it accordingly. The underarm section is now done. Finally, learn the hem, front band and overall edging. The hem consists of motif 3, edging and joining. Here, motif 3 is crocheted and connected into a long strip. Refer to the chart for the exact number. Crochet the edging after joining is complete. The technique is similar to the edging for the back body work piece. Only the first round and rows 2-3 are crocheted here. After the edging is completed, connect the last row to the front and back bodies and the underarm bottom edge section. The joining method is similar to before. Refer to the chart to complete it. That concludes the explanation of the hem. The front band also consists of motif 3, edging and joining. Motif 3 is crocheted and connected into a long strip. Refer to the chart for the number of pieces. The edging is the same as the hem edging, only the first round and right side, making 2 rows. After completion, connect the last row of the edging to the edges of the front and back bodies. And both ends of the hem. The joining method is also similar to before. Most areas use 2 chain stitches. When connecting to the corners of motif 1, 3 chain stitches are used. Pay attention to the chart when joining. You can also adjust according to actual conditions. Just ensure the fabric pieces are evenly and flatly connected. So the front band explanation is now complete. Finally, add the overall edging on the remaining parts of the first round of front band and hem edging. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The technique is similar to rounds 2-3 of sleeve cuff edging. Note that in the first round when encountering the fabric piece seams, when inserting the hook along the edging side, pick up 1 stitch at the edge and work the corresponding single crochet. Don't mistake the number of single crochets in the chain spaces. For round 2, group every 5 insertion points together and work these pattern repeats one by one. At the corners, refer to the chart for crocheting. Finally, cut the yarn and weave in the ends. Complete it as instructed. So the overall edging explanation is now complete. Up to this point, the entire garment explanation is complete. If you still have unclear parts during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.